On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Death rides a badass Cadillac.
And everyone is making this one New Year's resolution for 2023. Don't be a dick. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz. Oh, wow. Did you see that bingo wing flap as my arm flailed across?
I just thought it was a very movie star
yes.
reveal with the arm. I like to.
I'm feeling very glamorous tonight. We are dressed up fancy for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's our New Year's episode.
And I wish if I was wearing this out, I think it needs gloves, stuff, maybe fingerless gloves.
Ooh, that could be cute. Yeah.
We are both dressed in Betsy Johnson. Betsy Johnson, if you want to sponsor us, go for it, please.
Yes, please. For sure.
Although mine came from Torrid. So whatever. It's still fancy. And I'm wearing the necklace that I bought after I shamanly did not want to admit that I had no idea that it said $500 and not $50. And sometimes you just swallow your pride and just hand over your credit card. Oh, clearly I understood what that was. So how are you?
Well, I had a lovely holiday with my family, and did our traditional family party that we go to for Christmas Eve, and then I had a nice Christmas morning and day, and a little bit of relaxation. Didn't drink as much as in past years. Kind of proud of myself, kind of disappointed, a little bit of both. And we're taking some time off work, and I guess my small update that I will share is we've got an elderly doggo in our household, Ash, and he's reaching his end of days. So there we go.
Ash, dog friend and dog of the podcast. You can see his picture in past episodes, and probably on our Insta. I'm sure we've shared him. So, cheers to Ash. We love you, doggo.
Yes. So, but yeah, how about yourself?
Well, we have finally survived the first stupid winter thing of this season.
Yeah.
My heater did not survive. Well, the heater survived. What did not survive was the breaker, which apparently was old as fuck. And they were like, I can't believe this was actually functioning as long as it did. And I'm like, cool. Fun. Thank God I'm not a homeowner. Sometimes it rocks to be, I had to pay for this shit. We had 2 people come out on a Friday during a freaking winter storm and the day before Christmas, and they both came out and I had to pay for that shit because I know that was expensive.
Yeah.
Not the problem. Yay! Hopefully that doesn't mean next year you get
don't curse yourself.
Your rent has gone up $4,000. But so I had a friend in town and we spent a couple of days just thankfully I still had power, right? So I just didn't have heat. My fireplace, we had a fire going, and so then my house kind of smelled like a campsite, which my house smells like worse things sometimes. So I'm just like, whatever. I guess a campsite's fine, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think heat is your friend, and you should have it. But it could have been worse. We didn't get snow. One of my coworkers and he was very, very kind about it. And he's got, I think their temperature is it's 10 or it is negative 20 wind chill with 20,000 foot of snow. He was very concerned about me. So I appreciate that. Unlike the dickhead who lives in California and he's posting pictures of him on the beach. It was so lovely. I was doing meditations. Fuck you, man. That's just rude. Once is fine, but this is an actual national emergency.
Yes.
Maybe think about that before you be a dick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long time since we gone back to our call, so don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
That is my New Year's 2023 resolution for all of you and the rest of the world. So everybody resolve, and I also will resolve to not be a dick.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I like it. Our resolution and our advice as a resolution to the world.
To the world. I don't think it's advice. I think they're just mandated. You know, I don't like fascism. I don't like fascism, but you know, sometimes it's like, this is your, you know, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You're mandated. Like that's it. That's my regulatory thing. So that's the only law I'll believe in. All right. So let's talk about this episode. We are getting close to the season finale. In fact, next week will be the season finale for season 5. Isn't that exciting? Very exciting. So this is a very build-up-y episode. I didn't give Diana any kind of warning. I will say for those of you who are listening to this and haven't watched the episode yet, there is a trigger warning for some more vaccine-related shenanigans. Some more things that just may set you off a little bit and just go, ah! And so, but beyond that, you like just your overall, like, it's not a bummer.
No, it's not a bummer. It was a really fascinating episode. Other than some of that where you get like you get a little shiver and a jump back. But other than that, it was a not bummer episode. Intense, but not like, I don't know. It was more suspenseful. Is that a good word for it, you think? Dramatic, yeah, that's probably better. It's not so much suspense because that feels like dun 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 dun.
But I mean, there's also, it was dark comedy. I guess there was a bunch of dark comedy in it. So I don't know. It wasn't a bummer, but I wasn't like like, you know, or I wasn't like wee like I was during Hammer of the Gods. These are all my ratings, by the way. Wee. So. Yeah, I guess we'll go back to the ratings at the end of this. So, all right. So this was titled
Not Bummersville. That's what we got for this one.
So we're down to 2 episodes since there's been a Bummerville. So that's a little sign that's going to flip over.
I like it.
So this is 2 minutes to midnight. Song title. There was a working title for a while that was shit. I forgot what the working title was. I have problems with short-term memory, guys. Whatever. So it wasn't that great. This was season 5, episode 21. This first aired May 6, 2010, and was directed by Phil Sgriccia. And the story credits go to Sarah Gamble, but also Eric Kripke, because we're getting closer to the end. So, and then I think that our writing duos like Laughlin and Dobb also had some hands in it, just because we're getting to the end. So it's kind of like all the writers on deck. Make this thing. And so we will shimmy in. I don't think we shimmy in this episode. We just wander into the fascinating tropical place of Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah, a hospice specifically. And
is that what a convalescence is? Is a hospice? I guess?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Convalescent home is a hospice. But I mean, basically, it's my understanding. I could be wrong. That's my read. Yeah. And there's a woman in the bed, and who walks in but Pestilence? Oh shit, that seems bad. And she thinks he's a doctor. It's referring to him as a doctor. And he's just very nonchalantly informing her that she has a combination of the common cold, dengue fever, and Japanese encephalitis.
Yes, and I had to look up because I was not quite sure. So dengue fever is a tropical disease. Your symptoms may include a high fever, headache, vomiting, muscle and joint pains, and characteristic skin itching and a skin rash. And Japanese encephalitis is an infection of the brain, and those symptoms can include headache, vomiting, fever, confusion, and seizures. Interesting, though, they both come from mosquitoes.
Oh, interesting. Well, he passes his hand over her face and she gets a bunch of sores, and he's like, oh, well, I guess she didn't have chicken pox as a kid either. It's because now, wouldn't that be shingles on a grown-up?
If you had chicken pox and then you get it again, then you get shingles.
Okay.
I think is how that goes.
But if you haven't had it, you get chicken pox again. I don't know. Either way,
I think you get chicken pox because I've never had chicken pox, so I don't know. But I think there's vaccines for this now.
There is. There's a shingles vaccine now, and they strongly recommend it for adults, from what I understand. But we'll talk about vaccines later because no one wants to talk about that shit.
I think I've seen a commercial for it, but I do appreciate that he basically refers to her as a petri dish. But I think overall, aren't we all just a petri dish? Like,
I mean, kind of.
I feel like that should be on a sampler's like stitched behind me. We are all just a petri dish.
Well, I like that he calls it a proprietary blend and that he made it in a petri dish, and the petri dish is you. I was like, oh shit. Well, at least you're special. You're proprietary.
Yeah. Don't you feel great?
Yeah.
You don't, because you're gonna vomit.
Well, first he says he's gonna kill her, and he starts counting down, and he gets to 2, and she vomits green slime all over his face, and he says, interesting. I have a problem with this green slime, and I'm going to give spoiler. We see it again. What the fuck is this green vomit slime? Because it is bright green. And I don't know if they raided the old Nickelodeon Double Dare like stash that they dumped on people of slime, or if it's from you can't do that on television. Because those were the 2 areas my brain went to for this, or fucking Flubber. Like, I don't know what this green shit is, but I was not sold that it was vomit.
Yeah, and unfortunately in the companion, it did not say what it was, just that it looked like, like Exorcist green pea soup.
It was brighter than that.
But it was definitely brighter.
Like green pea.
I did also get the you can't do that on television slime.
The green slime, like
down
the screen.
And we've talked about it on the show before. Like, why did we all wanted that on us so bad? I wanted to be slime so hard.
So bad. Yeah. Yeah. Or was it gack? Wasn't that weird like stuff that
the gack was the stuff that you could get afterwards.
It was sticky.
And it was sticky, but it made like this fantastic sound when you squished it. It was like gack, which didn't know later would become a weird porn thing. So
is it?
Well, no, just gacking, Anyhow. So
today I learned. Anyways.
So she poor Celeste dies with also I feel bad because she just dies without her face. She's got the
green vomit all over her face, and it's just it's a very not with dignity.
It's not with dignity, but at least it seems like it went pretty fast. Couple of days, and then like boop, 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 boop. So, but then we're going to have to go back in time, right? So we go back in time to one day earlier, not through like booping or anything. The show goes back.
Story. Yeah. Which I'll say, I'm going to give an aside. I think this was unnecessary. I think they could have just done the story. It's like they've done the show.
I don't know why they did this.
It was a really weird,
I think probably, again, I think this goes into, they kept shifting like beginnings and endings around.
Yeah.
And maybe they just didn't feel like this first part would have been a good teaser. Because it's kind of not, right?
That's true.
Because it's Dean and Sam and they're arguing and there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not really a good teaser. And so if you cut that part out, that makes it interesting.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's the only reason, though. There's not really a reason. It's
I think it's editorial and not story.
Yeah. So we got Bobby looking at a bunch of omens in the newspaper. Dean's yelling at Sam about Sam's plan to try to say yes to the devil to help trap him. Bobby's like, yeah, I knew about this plan, but either way. So Dean's just pissed because that's what Dean does. And then Dean's phone rings, though. And who is it? It's Castiel. Yay. He's in the hospital, though, and not great. He woke up there. The doctors were surprised because they thought he was brain dead. After California, he appeared beaten and bloody on a shrimping boat off Delacroix, which is outside of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yes, and so that means the sailors are apparently very scared. But I also thought about, because I had to look up that Delacroix was in Louisiana, and then I was like, oh shit, well they're probably like Cajun sailors, so they're probably like, woo-wee, who that there? Look at that there angel, and like so it was probably quite comical.
Who dat is definitely what they like to say in Louisiana, but that's a football thing too. So anyways, so Dean tells Castiel, they're going after Pestilence. But Castiel can't boop himself there because he's out of angel juice. He's
also, I started
human.
referring it to the Dick in the Box plan.
Oh, I like it.
Because they're putting Lucifer in a box. And I've been thinking about Dick in a Box song lately. So there's reasons for it. It's not just like randomly going like, why is Liz thinking about Dick in a Box? Somebody else brought it up. So anyhow, but Cass is like basically human, and he needs human things like cash.
Mm-hmm.
He needs some cash, money. Sugar daddy.
Mm-hmm. He needs to buy airplane tickets, food, and pain medication.
Yeah, so plane, food, and drugs. Gotcha, Cash. Gotcha, yeah. Cash. Ooh.
Cash.
Cash. And Dean just volunteers Bobby to pay for it.
Bobby will wire it to you. No biggie. Wait, what? But I do like Castiel's pauses before this conversation can end on the phone, though, and tells Dean that you are not the burnt and broken shell of a man I believed you to be. Oh.
Well, see, Destiel must reunite, and then he just hangs up on him.
Yes, then just click. Dean gets to thank him and then click.
But also, I kind of appreciate this type of phone conversation. Like, I'm just fine with
There's
it.
There's not an awkward end. It just ends.
It just ends. We just Irish goodbye each other on the phone. It's fine.
No, ma'am. I mean, I kind of appreciate it, but no. All right. So our Winchester brothers are on the move, though. They've got to go find Pestilence. So they arrive at Serenity Valley Convalescent Home in Davenport, Iowa, where Dean refers to it as Dr. Evil's lair. But Sam points out that it's probably more depressing than evil. And I think that is fair.
As
absolutely fair.
Every convalescent home is fucking depressing. Yeah. Unless, like, you're dumbass rich. Oh, yeah. Man, that's my goal. Like, to die dumbass rich so I can be in a nice nursing home. All right, so I don't, and like, you can have all give my money to cats afterwards. I just, want to not be in this place.
Yeah. I like that Dean's other commentary on it, which we don't have a ton, but I think it was fairly amusing that he called it a brochure for dying young, but for Pestilence, it's like Dollywood.
Yep, I just wrote, we got a Dollywood reference. Woohoo!
Yay.
So Dean sees these cameras and he gets a plan. He's
they got a plan. So they got to figure out their own personal multiple choice game of human, demon, or pestilence. So they're in, and Dean goes straight for the security office, where he lies and says he's looking for his Nana.
His Nana, Eunice Kennedy.
Right. Well,
that was the name he chose.
Yeah. So the security guard's trying to push him off to go find the nurse's station. So he just punches him and drags him to the corner so that him and Sam can sit and watch the security cameras all night.
How hard do you have to hit somebody to knock them out? And then how long will he stay unconscious? Did you chloroform him or something?
I don't know. I was kind of wondering that too. I'm like,
get up. That guard is dead. You just punched a man to death, with one blow.
One blow.
And you're not Superman. You're just Dean. No. So I have a problem with this plan and the execution of it.
Yeah, at some point, did you need to drag him somewhere else with a door and close him in? I don't know. Either way, so they're watching. Dean's falling asleep. They're just commenting that everybody looks sick. What are you looking for? And they're watching. But then there's this man comes out of a room, and it's a really I thought it was a really cleverly done effect where the screen, a full horizontal line of static appears on the screen that cuts through Pestilence's face, no matter where he moves on the screen. And that was a really cool way to conceal his identity in the security cameras, but also reveal to us that this is somebody that is supernatural. I liked it. So obviously the brothers notice this and they're like, oh shit, that's sus. There we go. So they got to go find him.
Yep. And so now time converges and we get to where we were.
The first scene happens again. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the brothers are on their way. Dean's walking down the hallway of this place with a shotgun.
For some reason.
And Sam's got his demon knife, and no one is suspicious of these two dudes walking down these very empty hallways. Except for one nurse that senses them walk by and while she's in the room with a patient, and then looks up. Uh-oh. Do we have a demon? We might have a demon. And so she busts into, she is a demon. She busts into Celeste's room to tell Pestilence, who she calls Sir, that the Winchesters are here. We should go.
And she recognized him damn quickly. Like, so, like,
just like didn't even see them.
How do they know, like, what they look like or what they smell like? Do, like, the Winchesters have, like, a smell? Like,
I mean, I guess.
How the fuck are, like, they all recognizing them? Like,
I don't know. It's wild. This is also the point in my notes where I started referring to Pestilence as Pesty, which in my head also goes to Posty. So it's like this weird, like, Post Malone Pestilence thing going on. And I like Post Malone, so this is not a knock. So I think Pestilence needs some face tats.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
In my notes for there.
All right. So she's telling that she's like smelled, sensed, touched, licked, whatever. It's like the Winchesters are here, and we should go because apparently when you're around them, you die. So maybe we should leave. Woo!
And Pesty doesn't like that. He's going to take it out of their healthy young asses.
And then I have Satan be damned. See what I did there? Satan be damned.
I like it. And that the devil can glue them back together.
And then for some reason he gives her a hug. Why is he hugging her? I don't understand.
I don't know, but while he's doing it, he twists his ring behind her back. And so as that's happening, we see in a different part of the convalescent home, we see a doctor and a nurse, and he starts green vomiting everywhere.
And it's good. Hooray!
And then the nurse starts getting sores all over her while she's checking the doctor. And it's not good. They did. We cut back to our brothers, though, who are now searching this hospital wing home for Pestilence. The convalescent home. Convalescent home for
I don't know. They're in a creepy ass fucking hallway and they start coughing. And then I'm like, oh God, it's like being in an airport. And I'm just like, ah. And so I start already getting triggered. I'm like, oh, people are just coughing everywhere. He doesn't have a mask on. Oh shit. Like, why don't you have the mask on this time? Did you learn from the last episode? Put a fucking mask on. So, oh my God.
They're coughing, their vision's blurry.
And they're just walking over corpses.
They just step over the corpse of that doctor and the nurse in the hall, like no biggie. But they're trying real hard to fight through this, and they are sick AF. But Dean falls, Sam makes it to the door, and as Sam gets there, the demon nurse opens it. And she says the doctor will see you now.
And Sam tries so hard to like be manly and stab her, but he just like holds his knife and passes out, which, I guess this, like, having had COVID 17,000 times, like, I felt like that before. Just like, I'm gonna like clean my back, and then you just like roll over and pass out. So I feel for you, Sam. And then the super strong demon nurse just like, she drags him into the room. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, and then Pestilence is just like sitting on dead Celeste's vomity bed. He's just sitting there. That's weird, right?
Yeah, he's weird.
Okay. All right. So, and so both brothers are now in the room. And so Pestilence starts talking a little bit. He gets a couple little mini monologues here. He kicks off with telling them that it could be, y'all don't look well. It could be scarlet fever or meningitis or syphilis. But it's going to get worse. And so, yeah. I
was like, I feel a monologue coming.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. We got to get our bad guy monologue in, of course. Disease isn't filthy. it's, people are, and that, people are filthy and chaotic, not disease. Disease is pure and single-minded, blah, blah, blah. Bacteria and disease always win, blah, blah, blah. And why does God love something so messy like humans? I'm going to show him he's wrong, one epidemic at a time.
Yeah, so Diana clearly was enthralled with Pestilence's monologue about how cool bacteria is. And that really is just a science lesson that in the end, bacteria will be this thing. I mean, what? Like, we start single-celled organisms is how things go. Like, yeah, I fully believe that viruses and bacteria or just like an algae or something will be what's left on the earth after like everything gets destroyed in the next like 6 months. Like, I don't know. Join my cult to find out. Like, I'm just jumping straight into the apocalypse part of my cult, so I'll send you the number.
I thought you're supposed to build up to that. You aren't supposed to go straight to that part, right?
If you make it urgent, you're gonna join the cult faster. Okay, so in 6 months
fair.
The world is going to end. And so, but the whole cult is worshiping bacteria because they clearly are the winners here. Or viruses, right? Which I don't know how the difference is between the like, I feel like, the virus.
I feel like they were pretty interchangeable with those two in this episode.
Well, so I think this is interesting though. The fact that we clearly show that Pesty loves germs, right? He loves, he thinks like that is the superior creation that God made. And he's like, look, I will keep making human beings sick until you realize that these things are like the better species, or I guess, I don't know if there's a species, whatever. Sorry, biology people.
Organism, whatever. Yeah.
I know your heads are exploding. I'm sorry. But still, it's just like, okay, Lucifer and certain other ones, like, people look down on human beings, but this particular one, like, looks down on human beings, but also thinks something is better than them. And I'm not sure if he thinks it's better than angels, but like, he super loves bacteria, which I guess is like why he's not on Team Lucifer. Because you would think, like, he hates humans, he would be on Team Lucifer's side, but he kind of is. But I think he's just like, fuck you. Like, I want my bacteria.
Here's my challenge too, though, is if you hate humans so much and you're trying to prove how messy and chaotic they are, I'm not saying like there isn't the possibility of existence, obviously, because I'm not a scientist. This is not my area of expertise. But obviously there's not a necessitation of human life for bacteria or viruses to survive. However, isn't it beneficial to them to have human life? So isn't there a weird symbiosis kind of thing that where it's a necessity of some kind? For proliferation, at least. I don't know.
It depends. That's why I'm on, like, like what type of like species dominance you want to have, right?
I'm just saying.
No, fuck you, Darwin. All right, so we get that monologue, but I think that's interesting. I just think that was like an interesting thing, and then like poof, Cass shows up.
Woohoo! Because he took a bus, and then he collapses, and he's bleeding from the mouth because he's sick too, because he's mostly human.
Oh,
that's sad.
And Pesty just taunts him, and it's unbecoming. I don't like you. You're just a dick.
He's a total dick, and he talks about there's not a speck of angel in you. But Castiel grabs the demon knife and cuts off Pesty's ring finger, maybe just a speck.
Just a speck. And then he stabs the nurse, and Cass is our hero. Yay!
Yay. So Dean gets the ring, and Pestilence says it doesn't matter because they're too late, and he disappears out the window.
See, I think, talk about like the storylines here. I do feel like this part, maybe it's just they cut out, or this could have been one episode, right? Like, so we got like some of Pestilence in the episode before this and in this one. Like, I just think I don't know. It makes, I'm not sure I get like why these two halves are together beyond just timeline. Anyways. Yeah. All right. So to me, it's like, okay, so now we go to like the second part.
A new episode. Yeah.
It's pretty much a new episode.
Basically like a new episode. No, I agree. I felt that way too, but I feel like there probably just wasn't the way the things timeline. Like, I did not want to hear Pestilence monologue anymore. Sorry.
No, I'm glad he's over. Like, but I'm going to say, like, it could, but if you took that other, anyways, whatever. Pestilence is gone. We don't have to deal with that anymore.
But like, I don't know if they would have had time to effectively address, and then how would you have tied in the Brady story? Like, it just gets complicated then.
Television making, man, it's complicated. All right. So we cut to Bobby's house, right?
Bobby's. Mm-hmm. And our Winchester brothers are freaked out about what Pesty told them. So they need an update. So Bobby's like, yeah, Chicago's about to be wiped off the map. There's this storm, there's natural disasters, 3 million people are going to die. But the good news is death is going to be there. And they're like, how the fuck did you put this all together?
Well, also, and if you can get there and you can stop it. So you can save 3 million people and get a ring. So you get like a shiny thing, you get some jewelry, and you get to save people. Win-win here. And then they're like, hey, and then how do you know this? And then here comes Crowley. And we get one of our first of many hello boys. So sexy when he says that. I feel like there should be a Crowley like every time like he comes out.
So he wants Bobby to tell the brothers how he knows. So Bobby does in his own way, which is very standoffish and not specific. But anyways, yeah, he didn't sell his soul to Crowley. He pawned it basically. And Dean is pissed. But Sam just wants to know if Bobby kissed Crowley.
And I love that's the first place that Sam's mind went to. Like Dean's just like, hey, you sold your soul. And Sam's like, did you kiss him?
Bobby is like incredulous about this accusation. But Crowley has the fucking receipts.
He does. He took a picture. And Bobby wants to know why he took a picture.
But Crowley just wants to know why he used tongue.
Oh, so cute.
Poor Bobby's getting fucked with here so hard. Anyways, so Dean's like, nope, Crowley, you got to return the soul. And Crowley's like, sorry, I will. But right now it's insurance against you killing me until I can get safely away from this whole scenario.
Makes sense to me.
Shit. I mean, it's bold, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I need a reason why you won't fucking kill me, like, before this is done. Now I've got a reason. So he'll give it back when it's done. Whatever. So we get to go outside and go see Trunk. Hey, Trunk.
Team Trunk.
Hey, Trunk. Yeah. So bros are loading up Trunk for their excursion to Chicago. But Sam wants to talk with Dean. He wants to have a convo. And he tells Dean that he agrees that he's not really strong enough to take on Lucifer, but there's really not any other option, so he's got to try. Crowley decides to pop up with his comic relief as normal. And scene. That's one way to end a heart-to-heart conversation.
It is. I'm also, a fan of that school. I love interrupting people while they're having like heart-to-heart talks and just being like, "What's up, bitches?" Like it's pretty awesome. So he's got a newspaper, and in the newspaper, basically it says Niveus, whatever the fuck their place is called, Pharmaceuticals is rushing delivery. Oh, sorry, trigger warning, is rushing delivery of its new swine flu vaccine to stem the tide of the unprecedented outbreak. And shipments leave Wednesday. So swine flu was just the first part. And the second part is the vaccine, where the vaccine is filled with Croatoan virus. And it's going to make you sick and kill people.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
With simultaneous countrywide distribution. This doesn't ring any bells at all.
Nope, I'm not rocking back and forth and holding myself. Okay,
can I go crawl in my closet? Is there still time to line it with tinfoil? What is happening?
Wait, your closet isn't lined with tinfoil? What the fuck have you been doing these past no, I'm so disappointed. So, anyhow, we're going to go to a happy place because then they say by this time next Thursday, we'll all be living in zombie land. So then I get to think about zombie land and zombies, and then I'm much better. I'm like, whoo, okay.
Just think about Woody Harrelson and everything's better. Don't go that far. Okay.
Thinking about zombie land and everything is better.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, all right. So we cut to Chicago.
And the most do you have there's this most amazing version of a Death playing.
It's I am no one by Gemini Killer is the song that's playing.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really cool song, and it's everything is being shot in slow-mo here. There's storm brewing in, and we get a beautiful car.
Okay, before we get to the car, one thing I want to point out, because I already have like cue Diana Cadillac squeals. So the camera pans underneath the L, right? Because they're trying to show that we're in Chicago, but they weren't in Chicago; they were in Vancouver. So they made that on the back Chicago lot in Vancouver, and then CGI'd the train over it, which I just think was a great effect. And just it's really cool they put that in. And just the mood of this, I love death, goth points, and but I knew like I know I didn't prompt you for the episode, but I prompted you for this, and I said
you did. You told me I would like Death's car, and
you were gonna love all this. I didn't want to spoil, but I kind of thought you would know, and I was like, you're gonna love Death's car. Okay, so now cue.
I didn't know I'd love it this much.
Cue Diana, and what you found out.
Death pulls up in the lines of this beautiful long body 59 Cadillac Coupe de Ville with pristine white paint and those perfect pointy tail lights. It's a freaking beautiful car with those big ass fins. Anyways, it's a gorgeous car. 59 Cadillacs are high in demand. Amazing cars. Mine is not a 59. My personal one, Duchess de Ville, is a 63. But this era of Cadillac, mine's a 4-door. But this era of Cadillac, specifically from about 59 to 64, is a time period where they all really have iconic fins of varying size. 59 is some of the larger ones. And this car is sick. Funny story, personal aside. So I think I mentioned at some point on the show, we had a black Cadillac station wagon, which is a hard to find vehicle that I loved very much for many, many years. That was the Wampus wagon, aka Caddy Wampus. But Caddy Wampus was past her prime, unfortunately, as cool of a car as she was. So we traded it in for a newer Cadillac, and it happens to be white. And I joke in passing a couple times that our new Cadillac's name was going to be Pale Horse. So I've been calling my new white Cadillac Pale Horse, not having seen this episode. And Death rides on a pale horse, and Death has a white Cadillac. I'm just saying. There we go.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. And we also learned that unlike some of the other more pretentious horsemen, Death drives himself. He has a cane when he gets out of this car, and it is a very cool cane, which is something that within some of the personifications of Death throughout the years, he has had a cane, or the scythe, as later. But but also it's an amazing shot. And then we see his
really
ring.
well done.
And his ring is
good visuals.
Yes, his ring is very subtle. It's just got like a little white, like
flat
white opal. I don't know what you call it. Moonstone.
I don't know if it was like a mother of pearl kind of thing.
I don't know. It was cool. It was subtle, but it was bitchin'. Like it had this like nice scroll around it, and it was just like, it was a man's ring. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. And he's walking down the street, and some douche canoe on his phone, not paying attention where he's walking, shoulder checks him. So Death just looks back over at him. But he also
like he shoulder checks and then tells me, "Watch where you walking." And so he was a dick.
He was a dick, and Death strikes him down very nonchalantly.
This is very like flicking a leg. He's like, "Oh, you touched my fucking suit, bitch. You know how much this suit costs? Like, Death's suit is not janky. I wish I would I would love to get a tailor. It was like someone tell me like who made that suit because it's an impressive suit." And he just is like you got dirt on me, brush it off, and boom, he drops dead. Oh God, that's a power.
Yeah, and people rush to go help this guy that just died on the sidewalk. Death just keeps walking. All right, so back at Bobby's. Bobby is packing a bag, and he's trying to talk to Castiel. And Castiel's upset because it's like, he feels like it's finally like the 11th hour, and he's useless. And he's like, but he has a gun in his hand. So Bobby's like, yeah, you point and shoot. But Castiel's just real bummed about his powers being gone. And Bobby is not going to suffer this shit from his wheelchair.
Don't you bitch
We are not doing that pity party.
No.
He said, what is it? Quit pining for the varsity years. Whew. Okay.
And then Glory Days started playing in the background. But yeah. And so we're just going to do this. We're going to get her done. Get her done, Bobby. But we cut to Sam and Dean saying goodbye, and they're being quite quippy.
Yeah. Because, Dean wishes Sam good luck stopping the zombie apocalypse.
Because they're splitting. And I don't think that was like made really clear until this point.
No. This was the first time, and I'm like, shit, they're splitting up.
Yeah.
Because historically, that doesn't really go well.
It doesn't, but you got to get shit done.
That's true. So one has to stop the zombie apocalypse, and one has to kill death. So
I mean, Sam could have gone with Dean, though, and like Bobby and Cass could have gone and done the other thing. There was no reason Sam had to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you had to send like one of the stars with each.
Yeah, because both at this point, Cass is human, and is what we know of Bobby, their B team. So.
So, Sam's like trying to be like, do you remember when we just had simple hunting adventures like the Wendigos? And Dean's like, not really. I was like, what? This was like a really weird exchange.
I thought it was cute because Dean's just like, all right, good luck stopping the zombie apocalypse. And Sam's like, good luck killing death. And then he goes into remember when we used to just hunt Wendigos? Wasn't that simpler? And then Dean's just like, not really. I mean, that part is like kind of weird. But Sam starts to give Dean like the demon knife, but Crowley just is, Crowley. He just like pops in
again, and he's got the head of a scythe, and it was Death's own.
Is it the head of a scythe? I think it's just a scythe.
Is it a scythe? I thought scythe usually was
you don't have to have the whole thing. Like I think the scythe is just
the sharp part.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's the scythe, and he's explaining that supposedly this can kill demons, angels, reapers, and rumor has it can kill Death himself.
Ooh, fancy. Ooh.
And he got it because he's king of the crossroads. So he made out for that. So Crowley is making comment to Bobby if Bobby's just going to sit there. And Bobby is like kind of like annoyed by this and makes a river dance joke. But Crowley's like, no, you missed out on your own crossroads request. So I added something, a subclause on your own behalf. And asked him again if he's just going to sit there. Did Crowley do something nice? What? I mean, I'm sure it was self-serving in some ways, but did he do something nice for Bobby?
He did. Bobby can walk. Oh my God, Bobby can walk. And he can river dance. Woo!
Now he really can river dance. Yeah. So that's exciting. And then he gets in the car for a long car ride because that's exactly what you want to do.
Well, and then we also it's the same van that Bobby was going to drive before. And then I was like, do we need to have the accessibility conversation?
Right? Like, what?
Did they just like unaccess? But then I was like, able body. I don't know the right way to say it, but people, who can. Those vans, I'm assuming, can go between like people who don't need them and people who don't need them, need the modifications.
And and those that do not need them. Yeah.
That's how to answer that. All right. So maybe
I would guess there's a way to, I guess there would be a versatility approach to that.
I think for a lot of times it's like you're just doing a lot of that on the shifters. Paddle handles and shifters. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not like you disable the gas and the pedal. Yeah, okay, I guess that's fine. Whatever. Moving on. All right. So, Cass is like, does not think that this is the worst plan he's ever heard, but he's got some things you need to know.
Yeah, so we just got Bobby, Castiel, and Sam on their mission to go stop the zombie apocalypse. And Castiel's like, look, I can tell you, if you want me to tell you this is the worst plan, I'll tell you that, but I don't think it is. You, Sam and Dean have always exceeded my expectations, and you might actually be able to resist. But warning, they might still be looking at this other vessel in Adam, And if you fail, there will be a big fight and there will be immense collateral. Plus, you got to worry about things like, I don't know, the demon blood, because that's what strengthens the vessel, and the current guy is drinking gallons of it.
Yep. So we learned Michael is inside of Adam now. We were afraid that was going to happen. But so, hey, if you say yes to Lucifer and you fail, that fight is still going to happen. So we need to like be prepared for that shit, right? So your brother Adam and you are going to be fighting. That's like a pretty big thing, right? Even if like you're not in control, but still like two brothers are going to be fighting each other. Also, hey, yo, demon blood.
Yeah.
Which is a weird twist that was just like, why did that get thrown in there? I don't get it. So we now go, it's daylight.
It is daylight. And we see semis at a warehouse with distribution docks getting loaded up with vaccines. And Bobby's got this plan where they're going to sneak in an hour before the first truck leaves, and they're going to plant all this C4, and they've got it all laid out, except for one of the trucks starts leaving immediately.
Yeah.
Bobby just says, balls.
He does. This is the first time we hear the infamous Bobby Singer, balls. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
I think there should be a catchphrase ding that goes off. So now, like, things that, like, Diana has seen on T-shirts maybe make more sense. I don't know. So, also, so Bobby they've somehow learned their logistics schedule. Like, I don't know how, like, I guess you could probably, even you could social engineer that information, but good for you. You found that. You're going to plant some C4, so you had some C4 laying around.
They showed that being packed. They showed that being packed when they were packing up.
But, okay, cool. Okay, I missed that part, but also... you just said C4. All right.
Yeah.
So Cass, there's a truck. Okay, go ahead. Go. Because I think I might.
So now they're going to follow the new plan. So they block the exit gate. Cassiel just jumps up and smashes the driver's face. The horn's going off. All the demons are freaking out. They know that the Winchesters are going to be there. So they start closing the doors and locking the place down.
Well, yeah, they're also like, it's the Winchesters. And so again, like, do they smell? Like, how the fuck did you know the Winchesters were coming? Was there like a memo? Like, did y'all give the round? Was there a PowerPoint?
Is there a Winchester detection system?
Oh my God, no. I think there was a company.
Like a little radar?
There was a company, like, town hall, and there was a PowerPoint presentation with pictures of Sam and Dean. And they're like, these are the Winchesters and they're coming for you.
That's hilarious.
That happened. I know that happened at that company. Okay, so
they had their safety bulletin, their safety briefing.
They had to have their
morning.
Safety briefing, and it was just pictures of the Winchesters. Oh God. Okay.
Oh, so
Sam shoots
now
his
when
way
when they're closing up all these doors and blocking off this warehouse, though. You did see one or two of the pallets get opened and a few boxes pulled out. So there's some loose vaccines running around.
I guess these don't have to be kept at a temperature or anything. They just hang out in a box.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
whatever.
Bobby and Sam are at the side door and manage to perfectly shoot out the lock cylinder so that they can let some of the staff
to shoot. This is what we finally get to the point where Sam Winchester has learned to use his firearm. Like, he's finally not missing anymore. So good on you. I think you took some downtime, maybe got some lessons. We are approving of what you're going. So, but you just basically, like, you're hearing bad noises and you're seeing bad things, and we just see infected people coming. So I just started calling them infected people.
Are they now? I just see like right now yes, there are infected workers inside eating another person.
Yeah.
First he lets out a bunch of staffers that are fine, that are running in fear. Not they checked them well. Like, these could have been demons leaving. It could have been infected people, but they just let them all run out. But Sam and Bobby definitely see a handful of very infected people eating another in person. And they just start shooting.
Yep. And Bobby's using a lever action.
Which is a weird choice.
Yeah. But Sam
seems like the best.
Yeah, but speed. I mean, it worked in Western, so it'll work here.
Sure.
And a lever action can hold like 6 to 10. I mean, anyway, so Sam's got a pistol and he's actually using it again. Good on you, Sam. Applaud you hitting your marks. But he hears a woman screaming. He's like, I must go save the day.
Have to go save everybody. So he's on a mission while Bobby almost immediately has to kill a demon right then with the demon knife, which is a good thing he had that.
Way to go, Bobby.
Yeah. So we've got a cut back to Chicago. We've got Dean and Crowley.
The Dean and Crowley show. I love the Dean and Crowley show. I love the Dean and Crowley show. Yeah.
They are walking through the city, and Crowley wants to stop for pizza.
He's heard it's good.
But they have found the, quote, big ugly building, which is Ground Zero.
Or Diana's favorite, a warehouse.
Fucking industrial site warehouse. Yeah. Shocking. Yeah. So, but Crowley can tell it's the place where supposedly Death is, or at least where they're told he is. And the whole area is swarming with Reapers. And they do the thing where we finally get to see it from Crowley's point of view. And yeah, there's a couple dozen Reapers standing outside, staring off into space like they do.
Like, do you think they have like Reaper TV, or are they just like really good at like, are they just meditating? Like, what is like a Reaper looking at when they're just standing there?
I have no idea. It's very creepy. Very creepy. So, but Crowley disappears for a minute and comes right back, pops back and says, oh yeah, Death's not there. And Crowley doesn't know where he is. So they start walking away.
They just leave.
Okay.
They just leave. And it was like, hey, millions of people are going to die, so maybe we should get out of here. Which is actually not a bad.
I mean, I get it, but like, damn. But Dean's like, yeah, Bobby sold his soul to you for this info. And Crowley's like, yeah, no, relax. There's all deals are sold back or store credit. He's like, yeah, we'll just have to find him in the next doomed city. But Dean's like, no, I'm not okay with this. Sorry.
Meh.
So we cut back to Sam continuing to rescue people in this warehouse. He's, there's an infected person attacking a woman.
He saves a woman off a ladder, and he's like, bah. So he gets her, gets a man out of there, and Bobby's just like staring at Sam in this very weird way. Yeah. Like, what are you looking at, Bobby? Like, you've got things to kill.
Yeah. So we get Dean and Crowley back at Baby, and Dean is thinking about calling what can he do to help save anybody in this town. He can't call in bomb threats to get 3 million people out of Chicago in 10 minutes.
He's very frustrated.
All of a sudden, Crowley disappears again. And then Dean sees him outside a pizza place and a custom suit shop next door, by the way. And Crowley is mouthing, I found him. But Dean can't understand this and has his window up and can't hear him. So just keeps saying that he can't hear him. It was a very painful moment between the two of them where I wanted to throw something. But then Crowley pops back into Baby and just says, Death is in there.
Oh, the Dean and Crowley show.
So Dean gets out of Baby and really asks if Crowley is going to come with him. But Crowley has already disappeared again.
Very fucked off again. He just eats away on his own. I love him.
He does a lot of that.
But we're going to cut back again to the warehouse, and Sam is once again helping people, and Bobby is just stabbing more demons.
Yeah.
And then an infected, just like infected. I also think I've been watching just a lot of zombie films this week, for Christmas. Yeah. So then an infected just started choking Sam. Like, it's just like straight up, just like choking him out.
And Bobby's out of ammo.
Shocking on your lever action's out of bullets.
Right?
What?
And then all of a sudden, Castiel is there and blows its head off with a very short barrel shotgun.
So sawed off. So sawed off.
So very sawed off. Yeah. And he's like, points out that these things, talking about guns, can be useful. Yeah. Sure can. And Bobby's line response though just cracked me up, because this is what I thought when I first I was like, fuck, they're gonna go commit some domestic terrorism. That's what my first thought was when I knew they were gonna go disrupt the vaccines. And Bobby's like, can we commit our act of domestic terrorism already?
Like, yes, to be clear, blowing up warehouses with C4 is domestic terrorism.
Yes.
And that is frowned upon in many countries.
Yeah. And it is illegal in all countries.
In all countries?
I mean, I assume so. It'd be weird if it wasn't.
Most countries.
I mean, find me the country where it's legal. Find me the country where it's legal. Yeah. So,
and Liz will build her kingdom there.
I was gonna let you get there. I mean, it just sounds like a great place to start a cult.
It does. Within my cult, domestic terrorism will not be legal. It will not. No, it will never. It may be a little legal. It will not be legal in my cult. Okay, so we go back we're going back to Chicago. And I'm also kind of jealous. Like, this is like the areas of, like, I've only I've briefly been to Chicago. We're talking about another trip in March, because there's like this chick punk rock thing, and it's like Reclaim the Stage. I don't know, but there's this band I want to see, and that's the first place they're playing since the pandemic that I can get to. And I'm like, oh, I want to see. But I'm very jealous of like this kind of Chicago. I feel like I haven't been to this part, like where it feels very New York-y, right? Like just like the small like businesses side by side.
Yeah, I've never been to Chicago. I was supposed to go and I didn't.
Any
bad sister. Anyways, so we see a dead bartender, a dead waitress, patrons keeled over on their tables full of food, which is sad.
But they died eating pizza.
By the way, this episode's fault that I had to have pizza today.
Yeah, I was just like, if you died eating pizza, that's not a bad way to go.
And it caused a domino effect of bad experiences with getting our pizza today. So now I'm mad about this episode. Anyways. Not really, but it was still funny. So we see Dean slowly approaching a table where a man is eating alone, and it's Death.
And he's trying to sneak up on him
with the scythe in his hand, which seems like what you think? You can't sneak up on Death, motherfucker. Come on now.
It seems stupid. Care if you're Dean Winchester. Stupid. Yeah.
Ugh. And as he's getting closer, the handle of the scythe is getting hot, so hot that it burns his hand, and he drops it. And Death just says, "Thanks for returning that." And it's disappeared from the floor and is now sitting on Death's table. Death invites Dean to join him for pizza.
Yeah, and this is the first time. Okay, so we're seeing Death, and I know it's not time for Casting Couch, but we have to talk about this really important character that is being introduced, and that is this pizza. Okay, so we see them panning to this pizza on this table, right? And it's a deep dish, but it was actually made in Vancouver. Oh, don't shit on a deep dish. Deep dish has their purposes, and so they had made it they found a deep dish pizza place in Vancouver, but they're like, hey, you need to make it an extra 1.5 inches thick to make it like real Chicago because you're Vancouver. So they had to like make it extra thick, and like so they were very appreciative of the pizza. Apparently it was very good. And from my pizza site, I can tell like it's sausage. I think it's sausage, and there may be mushrooms. Also, you have not seen this pizza in anything before this, and this is its only supernatural episode. Okay. Thank you for that brief moment of Casting Couch. All right. So Death is talking to Dean.
Yeah. He's been wanting to talk to him. And Dean has mixed feelings about that, which I think is really fair to have. And asks him, is this the part where you kill me? Death is just eating his pizza and says that, that Dean has an inflated sense of self-importance.
And once again, our heroes of this episode are brought up, and Death asks how he would feel if a bacterium sat at his table and started getting snarky. And I think that would be fucking awesome. If a bacteria on like my table started talking shit to me. Oh boy, I'm high as fuck. Like,
I was gonna say, like you either need assistance immediately or you're real high.
Yeah, no. But so, I mean, but also at this, he's like basically, he's telling him how insignificant he is, but he also just told him that he really wanted to talk to him. So, which is a
mixed
death.
messages. This is mixed messages. And everybody else, like, so the brothers thought they were just regular hunters, which is kind of important, but not. Like, there's other hunters out there for a long time. And then all of a sudden they've got, you know, angels and the devil fighting over them. So now they're getting told how important they are. So it's kind of like a lot of mixed messages about how important or not important they are on the constant. That would be very stressful.
It is. It would be very confusing. Yeah. But, you know, you should really he wants him to contemplate his insignificance and eat. And at this point, I did say I also saw some green peppers and maybe some pepperoni on it as like he put his fork in it. I don't trust your pizza judgment. Anyways, you've never even been to Chicago. What the fuck would you know? All right.
There's a place in Dallas that does a Detroit style pizza, which is a semi-thick crust, and it's really good.
Yeah, anyway. It's very different than a deep dish. There's like, and also I don't get people like shitting on like different types of pizza. We can love all types of pizza. All types of pizza are good. They're just different.
That's okay. You're right. We shouldn't hate.
This is my.
It's like I had this conversation about nachos with somebody. I literally had this conversation with about nachos with somebody in the last week because they get very upset about a lot of restaurants do like the individual nachos. You know what I mean? Where you order nachos, it's like each one. There's like
I'm not mad
larger
at that.
chips. And they're each perfectly proportioned.
You found a large chip. How the fuck did you do that? Because half my nachos are like little bitty, like broken up shit that's like covered in stuff and.
Well, there's the two different approaches where some people do just like the individual chips. They're each prepared and usually just has like beans, cheese, meat on them, and that's it. Or you've got your big pile of crap.
You're trashy
and I just
nachos.
explained that I just explained that I'm not a nacho bigot and I like all nachos.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it. So I understand, and I will while it might not be my preference for a deep dish pizza, I will retract my deep dish hatred as long as it has no bell peppers in it. So
that's only because you're allergic to them, so I strike them.
Not. I just don't like them. I'm not. I just say that because it's easier. I just like them.
I
don't like bell peppers.
All right.
But anyway,
so we get some more like kind of backstory on death and God.
Yeah, he gives his monologue, but we get some interesting bits out of it.
Like, we're really not sensing villain off of him. Just more weird, like deep, dark, cool old dude.
Yeah. And he's basically telling Dean about how partially your insignificance going on about you're just you're one person on one planet in one galaxy that's barely out of its diapers, and death's real fucking old, and so you need to eat some fucking pizza. So Dean eats some pizza and agrees it's good, and then that's when I wanted pizza. And then our favorite pizza place was closed today. And then the other pizza place, the delivery driver fucked up. And then it finally got here, but I was sad. And then I ate way too much of it. And now I'm still sad because I ate too much. It's my pizza story. You're welcome.
This episode brought to you by pizza.
My pizza. Oh, so much pizza. So Dean asks how old Death is. And Death tells him that he's... Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you get a pass in a situation like this. Because Death was talking about, I'm so old. Well, okay, how fucking old are you, brah? And he said that he's as...
brah. That's unbecoming.
That's true. Sorry. I retract my bra. He's as old as God, maybe older, but neither can remember anymore because, just so much time has passed. And eventually he'll reap God too.
Aww. It's so deep and I love it. I love this idea of like, so I'm as old as the universe, but one of us came first. We don't know anymore. Like, it's such a great, like, I love that explanation of like cosmic forces. Like, we don't know. We're just old. Like, it's forever. Yeah. And then he brings up that Lucifer has him on a leash.
Mm-hmm. He wants that leash off. He does not want to be bound to Lucifer with this stupid little spell. And
so you remember that spell, right? Like way back, like a few episodes where like Lucifer was in the graveyard and all those Reapers were there. Like this is how Death got tied to Lucifer.
And Death ain't happy about it.
He
does not want to be at the devil's beck and call, used as a weapon with hurricanes and floods and raising the dead. And Death is more, he tells Dean that he is more powerful than you can process, and I'm enslaved to a bratty child having a tantrum.
Yeah. But is he
wrong? This is a comparison that we've heard about Death in different ways, but repeatedly now. Like talking about like, oh, he's just sad because
about
he's
Death
mad because,
or about Lucifer?
About Lucifer.
Yeah.
Sorry if I said that backwards. But the bratty child having a tantrum kind of a thing. Like, oh, you're just mad because dad didn't choose you. And this is just, or you were always the favorite. I don't know why you acted like he didn't choose you. And that's why this whole thing happened. Like we've kind of gotten this. And this kind of ties into a lot of the Lucifer mythology in general, but also in Supernatural, that's kind of been alluded to over and over again, that Lucifer's just having, like, being a selfish child and having a tantrum.
Because he is.
Yeah, well, I know, but I just think it's cool that they directly saying it that way.
Yeah, and it's just also just the older, wiser man is just like, this shit is stupid. This war they want to do is dumb. I don't want a part of this. I have other shit to do. Now, we're going to blow your minds, and here's my fucking ring.
Yeah, I'm just going to give it to you. We're going to take the bullets out of Lucifer's gun. But Dean's worried about Chicago, and Dean's like, Death tells, I suppose it can stay. I like the pizza. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a note.
Good thing that pizza was good. What if the pizza had been shitty, Liz?
Yeah, because there are it's like, at least he went to the good place, right? Right. So always make your pizza not shitty.
Rules
for life. Don't be a dick. Make your pizza not shitty.
Yeah. So, but there are conditions. So Death shares his conditions for giving the ring to Dean. He must do whatever it takes to put Lucifer in the cell. And he reiterates that means whatever it takes, because Sam is the only one who can stop this. You have to let Sam jump into the fiery pit if I'm going to give you the ring. Dean says yes and holds his hand out for the ring. So Death reminds him that you can't cheat death.
Or can you? I think you can.
You do?
And some people did.
Oof.
It's time for some made-up game show Liz hit her head. It's kind of like Two Truths and a Lie. We do this shit all the time. We don't have a name for it. We always say we'll come up with a name for it. Meh. So what we're going to talk about now is because, one, we're talking about people who cheated death, right?
Okay.
And we're going to talk about it because I was like, do I want to do lore on the personification of death? And I don't, because it's fucking boring. At least what they're talking about here. We kind of, we know, oh yeah, he has a cloak, he has a scythe, he's a psychopomp. Hey, I love a psychopomp.
Psychopomp.
But we kind of know that, so why would I tell you that over again? So instead, we're just going to go with this crap that I made up. So according to the internet, it's more specifically facts.com, and I copied that link, and it is spelled FACTSC.com. So I should probably actually go back and look at that domain and do some other things to make sure I didn't completely infect my system with malware. But anyways, so they had a list called Faxica had a list called 10 people who cheated death in the most badass ways. Because I almost
that seems right up your alley.
There's another website which is actually another list that I almost went with, which was very Final Destination-y, and which were people who cheated death and then died again later. And well, it was kind of funny, but also people actually died, and then I felt like a dick. So, and going with their theme of don't be a dick, we're only going to talk about people who survived. All right,
I like it.
So we've got 3 stories. And I'm going to tell you all 3. One of them, though, only comes from the sick, sick mind that is mine.
Okay.
All right. So, also, the cat has awakened, and has discovered her crinkly paper. So we will have some. Hopefully, these like some nice background.
Creepy paper.
It's creepy paper. So hopefully, it'll be a nice it'll sound like a thunderstorm in the background, and not just my cat tearing at tissue paper. All right, our first story. In 2012, Russia and the Republic of Dagestan. A 56-year-old woman named Aishat Maksudova was hanging with her herder friends, and they were, herding, like you do. And so all of a sudden, a wolf appeared, and this wolf began attacking a calf. Now, Aishat did not hesitate to jump in. She wanted to save her calf, but that ultimately caused the wolf to attack her. And she said, "I was not even frightened. I stood like this, holding an axe like this, and the wolf, with an open mouth, suddenly jumped on me. Jumped like that. The wolf clawed at my leg." Okay, so he's down here, sorry. "The wolf clawed at my leg, and I wanted to hit him with my axe. When I raised up my arm like this, the wolf was just holding my hand, trying to claw my hand." They were holding hands. Holding hands. "And I wanted to open his mouth and put my fist all the way in there, all the way to his throat. But I could not open him. So I just left my hand, and the wolf was just clawing on it, pulling away like this. And then I took the axe, and I hit him on his head. And then the wolf died."
Whoa.
And the wolf died, and the woman was taken immediately to the hospital.
Oh yeah.
So
that part checks out.
So the first story.
What the fuck?
Aishat, a woman, grandmother. She was 56, whatever. So a woman, in Russia, basically hit a wolf in the head with an axe and saved herself. Right. Second story. In 1999, but we're going to America, North Carolina, to be specific. Joan Murray went out for a skydive because even though she was a banking executive, Joan dove for fun.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So she was jumping from 14,500 feet, right? And she fell, or she jumped. She didn't fall. She jumped.
Yeah, she jumped like she's supposed to.
And the main parachute didn't open. But her second parachute opened, but only for it to just fail. It just kind of was like a deflating whiskey dick. Like it went up and then just went. And so so
disappointing.
Yeah. So like that disappointment, she fell on the ground, but she did not just fall on any ground. She fell on a giant fire ant hill. And,
oh no.
Yeah. So all of these hundreds of ants carried her body away. No, they did not do that.
Like, what?
No, these ants just started stinging her because that's what
terrible.
The ants do. But because these ants were stinging her, it was basically like a defibrillator that was pumping her body full of adrenaline. So her heart kept going long enough for people to get to her and get her to emergency treatment. She was in a coma for a couple of weeks, and she survived. And after 20 surgeries and 17 blood transfusions, there was no commentary about what happened to the ants. But afterwards, she still kept skydiving.
Now she has an ant farm. It's her entire wall in her office. No,
I mean, is she their queen? Is she like part ant? Like, is that, this is Ant-Man
like
part
Spider-Man,
4?
but not, I know.
Well, there is already Ant-Man, but...
Well, I know, but it's a different origin story, right? I mean...
Well, there's like quantum things. I don't know. The new Ant-Man and the Wasp looks really good. I saw the preview for it when I saw Avatar 2. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it. All right. Our last story. In Mexico, in southern Quintana Roo. I'm supposed to say Quintana Roo. It's where Tulum is.
Yeah.
Been there. In 2005, California Monica Fuentes, she was on a tour bus and they were going to the ancient ruins. Yeah. The driver swerved to avoid something on the road. He lost
Probably an iguana.
he lost control and basically he careened like off of like a cliff. Like it was a cliff, like ravine. It was like he went down like about 500 feet. It was 150 meters, right? So the bus ends up at the bottom of this reef. So it's 500 feet down. But Monica was still alive. And she said, I hung on to the seat in front of me and I just didn't let go. And that was how she survived like the way down. And then with it, she hurt herself. She had an injured knee, but she managed to crawl through the window and pull herself up the side of the cliff where she was able to flag down help. 21 others were killed in the crash, but there were 30 injured survivors, and many who credited their lives to Monica saving them and flagging them down. And when asked like how she did it, she just said, I just pictured myself in my climbing gym at home. So that's our third story. So to remind you, all right, is it, so we have Grandma shows the big bad wolf who's boss. We have Fire Ant saving a skydiver by causing her a lot of pain, or basically Wonder Woman climbing up a cliff.
I'm very torn on this one. I'm going to go with Grandma.
Grandma is real. She has a little babushka and she looks so Russian. She's so great that she just they were like, she was protecting, had calves and they had goats and they were just hanging out in this wolf attack and she just killed it with an axe. Badass grandma. The second story is also true. A woman named Joan Murray did fall from the sky and was stung to death by fire ants, and that's what kept her alive. So, I made up the third one. Although there was some dude did survive off a bus crash in like Bolivia. But he also survived off an airplane. Like, I'm kind of doubting his story. Like, he survived, like, when the Andes things. Like, I don't know if I believe you.
Oh,
like,
that's crazy.
You survived a lot of shit. So, either you're an alien or a liar or you're just a really lucky dude. But anyways. So, sometimes you can cheat death. You can. Congratulations to you two who cheated death.
That's
also
wild.
Monica Fuentes was the character Eva Mendes played in Fast and the Furious.
Damn it! Damn it!
If you watch this, you just like join me in my Fast and the Furious obsession, and you would know that. You would have been like, "Damn it!" She said Monica Fuentes. That can't be real.
Should have known.
Also, I don't think like if you look at like where you go to the ruins, like I was actually looking at maps, being like, can a bus fall off this? Because I know you've been to the ruins. I was trying to think.
I'm like, is there ruins like along? Is there a drop off along there? And I was thinking really hard.
I don't think there is. And I was like, because Diana has been on that road to there, but I was like, whatever. There's cliffs everywhere.
Sure. Oh my god.
All right, so we cut back to Dean is finishing up his pizza and Death like gives him the ring, not making him like, I guess they're eating with a fork, so it's not like his
it's a knife and fork pizza. So they hand that over. He drops the ring into Dean's hand and offers the instruction manual on how to use the rings,
which is nice. Like you get a bonus, like you're getting a shiny artifact thing, and it's a nice ring. I like it.
Yeah. So we cut back and we're in Bobby's garage thing and
the junkyard. We're the junkyard.
Yeah. But it's like this covered workshop area. And Dean has all the rings now, right? He's got the 4.
Just hanging out on a picnic table outside in a junkyard. What the fuck? Like, these are things that are like older than time and you just have them on a picnic table outside?
Just a shitty wooden picnic table sitting around. And the rings, he sets them down and you see them like attract each other. It's like almost like magnetism and they like draw to each other. It's kind of interesting. Bobby walks in and asks him how his Rockettes audition went because now they've got jokes since Bobby can walk again. And Bobby apparently has been walking up and down the stairs all night for no reason. And now he's sore. Which is fair.
And he's very happy to have sore legs, which is... like the woman who is quite so chipper, and I love her, who owns my Pilates studio, was yelling at us today to, enjoy the pain because it makes you feel alive or some crap. But yes, enjoy having sore legs because, you get to use them.
Mm-hmm. And so they open some beers and they're looking at the rings and talking. And Dean shares that Death told him how to use them. But Dean has a bigger problem. What does Death do to people who lie to his face? Because he tells Bobby, no, because he tells Bobby that he agreed with Sam on the Lucifer plan. And Bobby points out, though, that so Death thinks that Sam should say yes. And Dean's like, yeah, but he works for Lucifer. But Bobby's got a point where he says against his will. So we've kind of got like a really like, I think Dean is so fixated on not wanting Sam to do this plan that he might not see, not that it's a good idea, not that I don't think it's going to put Sam at risk personally, blah, blah, blah. But he's not really seeing like bigger picture stuff.
Well, and it's like Bobby's pointing out that Death is really old and has some perspective. And maybe you should listen to other people's perspective. So
Dean is not interested.
And we also learned why Bobby was eye-fucking Sam at the warehouse.
Yeah, because he was impressed. Because while Dean and Bobby have been really hard on Sam and focused so much on the darkness in him, they haven't really stopped to observe the good in him, because he's been running and saving people in fires for a long time, and how much he was so fixated on saving everybody that he could possibly save in that warehouse.
Yep. And so he's going to beat the devil or he's going to die trying. And
that's all they can ask for.
Which is fair. Also, y'all are assholes if you don't realize like all the good that Sam has done since he was a poor child that was traumatized and dragged around and never allowed to have a home, and like had like Christmas presents that were stolen from gas stations and y'all should have some like respect for this kid that grew into this moose that is doing all these things. However, I also get Dean being just like, it's a lot of responsibility to give on Sam. So,
I think the question that Bobby poses to Dean at the end of this episode that Dean does not answer really reveals kind of where Dean's head is on this whole thing, with his lack of answer. And that's when Bobby asks him, what are you afraid of, losing or losing your brother?
But I also kind of feel like Dean's been afraid of losing his brother the whole time, and like I don't get it. And so we will come back to wrap with that. But now I think at this time is the time for a real casting couch, not just Liz.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
It is. All right. So we've got casting couch this week. Just a couple of actors of note, really, in this one. We didn't have a massive cast, but I'm going to start with our smaller characters first. We'll start with Celeste, was played by Christina Jastrzębska. She is of Polish descent, shockingly, with that name. I know, I didn't like that. She's been in a variety of TV and movie roles dating back to the 80s. A couple of key ones I'll mention. She's in the current Netflix show Virgin River as Livy. I know. She is a regular character, Mama on Van Helsing, and she is Gran in Twilight New Moon.
Yay!
There we go. Palomino is the name of our demon nurse. That is played by Leah Gibson. She was in, few episodes of The 100, iZombie, Once Upon a Time in Neverland. She is Nettie in Twilight Eclipse. She's Silhouette's girlfriend in Watchmen, and she had regular ongoing roles in television shows such as Rogue, Jessica Jones, Manifest, Shut Eye, and Batwoman. or Catwoman. Good Lord. Sorry. What am I doing? Can't write. And then we talk about Death himself, Julian Richings.
And why do we love him? Because he loves Peggy. So I believe I've told the story on this show before, but I think it was Alamo HeroCon. I was just walking around with Peggy, and he called me over to just sit and chat with me about why I had a fucking possum. So I love him beyond like just him being an awesome, amazing person. Like he also loves our possum.
Yes. Yay. Shout out to Julian for sure. And so his career goes back movies and television episodes dating back through the 80s. He was Alderson in the 1997 movie Cube, not the Cube, just Cube. Anyways,
not gleaming the cube, just the cube.
Just Cube.
Very different. Not even
movies. He had a small part in Detroit Rock City. He was Otto in Stephen King's miniseries Kingdom Hospital. He had a small part in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. He's Lore M in Man of Steel. He was in an episode of The Magicians. There was a Prime series called Patriot where he plays Peter Ichabod. It's a regular ongoing character. He had a small role in American Gods. As well as in the most recent season of Umbrella Academy, he was a regular character. He had a part in the recent miniseries, Guillermo del Toro's recent miniseries, Cabinet of Curiosities.
Not you, Guillermo.
And Guillermo. And he has had a few episodes with the new series, Reginald the Vampire, which is in my queue to watch, but I haven't watched yet.
It's super fun.
Which is brand new.
I got to catch up on it. Like I have a few episodes on it. It's super fun.
So he's got a couple episodes on that already. So yeah. So yeah, no, we love. I really enjoyed the Death character here.
And spoiler alert: this is not the last we'll see of him. But
I may have noticed that in my research.
Yeah, but it's also just a. I think he's a great character. I think he's just really well done. I think it's just, I love him as an actor, and I think it was just a great choice for this role. I love him.
Yeah, no, I was really, really happy with it, especially in this lore and personification of it. I won't go down a rabbit hole, I promise you, but I will give you a quick story. One of my favorite authors, like years and years ago, when I was like a teenager, I think I started reading these books, maybe early 20s. Piers Anthony is one of my favorite fantasy sci-fi writers and was for a very long time. I don't dislike him now. I just haven't read any of his stuff in a long time. It's just one of those things. But he has an entire series. The first series, was it something about the Eternals? But the first book in the series is On a Pale Horse, and it's it's a series. It's a 7-book series personification of like death, nature, time, war, like all of those. Not really as 4 horsemen, so it's a little different, but. And the last 2 books in the series are God and the Devil, which, that makes sense. But anyways, it's not a biblical take. It's not it's not necessarily in line with a lot of other lore, but kind of taking parts of a lot of lore, if that makes sense.
It's a philosophical question, right?
But it was a really enjoyable series and book, and it's, great. It's a great story in novels that I really enjoyed. And that's like the books where you collect them all and you save them forever because you like them. Whereas I'm really bad about getting rid of books, but that series, I'm like, nope, those stay on the shelf forever. So yeah, that's my On a Pale Horse story. But yeah, but I was like, and I'm not like death spooky person. Like I'm not into that. That's
what?
As much as I like dark shit, I'm more of like I don't like that. I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be scary. But it's
death isn't sad and scary.
I know,
and that's
it's
where
not,
this is like I become all like spooky goth. Like death is beautiful. Memento mori. We all die. That's a beautiful thing. Anyways, okay. So before we go into a very deep like conversation about what death means to us, is that it for Casting Couch?
That is it for Casting Couch.
Okay. So now let's rip apart this episode and we'll just
Oh.
So I think as we started, like in the beginning of this, that this was not a bummer, but it was intense. It's very intense, and like it automatic, like it brought up things to you, just like thinking about like death as a character, just was you were talking.
Well, you compare him to other characters you've read about or seen or whatever, or you envision. You know what I mean? Whenever you see a personification of a.
Yeah, I almost went with like different personifications of death in pop culture, which would have like had many quiz questions about like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and 8.5, and like not 8.5, whichever else the fuck that. You know what I'm talking about. But so like, because that death as a character, has been, George Carlin, and spent like so many different like things have been death in pop culture. And this was a choice they went with for, which is interesting too, because you have to put it in the context too of we have other horsemen, right? So we have these 4 very different horsemen. So we have the first, I guess they were all kind of dicks, right? So we had War with his Mustang. And that Mustang is really just a penis like personification, right? Any man you see in a red cherry, was it a 67? I think it was 67. Yeah, but that fucking Mustang was not even a fastback. Like it's just like gross. Like that he's a dick. You can tell that by his car. All right. Yeah. So then we had Famine, and Famine was in a limo.
It was like an Escalade.
Oh, I do kind of like those like Escalade limos, but still was
but he didn't drive himself, and he had an entourage.
Driving himself, and he had an entourage, right? So then we had Pestilence, kind of fun. Was it a Pinto?
It was not a Pinto. It was a fucked up like station wagon, though.
A Festiva or something. I don't know. But it was green.
The wood paneling,
which I thought was interesting. I was thinking
green
about
with
this.
wood paneling. Yeah,
like there was no like death rides a green horse anywhere, like in like things. So I thought that was interesting. I think the cars are just an interesting choice, right? So when we come to death, and he's in this like bitchin' fucking Cadillac, and it's gorgeous, but it is also just stately and elegant, and he drives it himself.
I do have a question / comment / criticism though about the lore and the tie-in here. So I understand that there is one, there's the one layer of lore of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and it's these 4, obviously. But there's also like kind of sort of other takes on death, where as a personification of death, and how death seems to explain himself is a little bit different and older than these other 3 horsemen would have been. And I don't know if that aligns quite. They're 2 different, you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying?
So like,
is death older than God, and also these 3 siblings? Like,
yeah, if you go into the actual biblical lore, there isn't a ton about the 4 horsemen. Pestilence isn't always a horseman, and neither is death, right? So there is like death riding a pale horse, so is definitely a trope. And a part that has been around things forever. Like the idea of like death as like the Grim Reaper, like the scythe and stuff, that comes from the Middle Ages and the plague and whatever. But death has been personified in different cultures since man has existed. I mean, and a lot of times death, and we'll get to this. Spoiler alert in future things where there may be some tie-ins between death and feminism or female personification of death. Like in a lot of cultures, death is personified as a female. So like there's just depending on what culture you're in, like there isn't really, there's too much. I don't know.
Right.
Like, so you can kind of like play with this in any way you want to. Yeah. And I think it makes sense for, as much as horsemen make sense in the story, right? Because they're kind of like, they're taking shit out of Revelation and they're spreading it, but they're also pulling in from a bunch of different things.
They're pulling from everywhere. I was just commenting that was interesting. It seemed like a kind of it seemed not contradictory, but almost. It was just kind of like they were taken from 2 different places that didn't quite align. That's just not bad, but a little bit to me.
Well, I mean, the just thinking about the horsemen in general, like as either a biblical trope or as just a part of it, like where the fuck did the horsemen come from? Like nowhere in the Bible before Revelations is there any talk about these dudes? Right.
No, it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's these 4 guys on
there's
horses.
these 4
It's gonna be
guys.
real bad.
So,
4 guys on
like,
horses. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad.
Yeah, and like we have to choose which ones are going to be like, and so I guess it's like, oh, we're gonna pick. Famine seems really bad. Like like nobody wants to be hungry. Yeah, nobody likes. We like war, but we don't like war. War is going to be probably so. Okay. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of leeway in your interpretation, just because also so much white religion was. A lot of the stuff that's written is all interpretation.
No, for sure, I agree. I'm just trying to say just keep the different lores aligned, I guess. And then I guess my other comment on this episode is just, I thought it wasn't. Like fun isn't the word for it, but I thought it was interesting and it was a very enjoyable episode. Engaging? Crowley, engaging is a great word. Like Crowley adds a super fun element. I don't understand his popping in and out and you kind of want to punch him sometime. That's I'm not gonna lie about that. But I think it's a very
pretty much like most guys I want to fuck. Like they're really annoying, but I want to punch them sometimes.
Damn it. Okay. Well, at least you're being introspective about it.
I acknowledge my flaws all the time. It doesn't mean I fix them.
I'm teasing you.
I just acknowledge that they're there.
But I thought that was. I think that he's a fun element because even when it's not directly like comic relief, he definitely adds a little comic relief no matter
and Cass what. Too, right?
So and Castiel does in his own way, absolutely. So I think it was really good to have both of them in this episode. I think that it was a lot of driving. Obviously, this is driving our story to our season finale. And I think that setting the tone of everybody was going to let basically, not really, but they were kind of going to let Dean be the vessel and say yes, but Dean's going to put his foot down and not let Sam is kind of some bullshit.
Well, nobody wanted, I mean, I don't know. Who was on Team Dean saying yes, though? Like,
no one.
Yeah. So,
but
this idea, though, of I don't think we've got a whole season finale probably to explore it. But the idea, what does Sam saying yes to the vest really mean? Like, is it like what does that mean for him? What does that mean for the future of the so you accept?
Right.
And the idea is that he jump in and then cause Lucifer to jump in the cage. But what happens when he's in the cage? We don't
have an answer to that. Is Sam in the cage forever? Does Sam figure out how to get out and leave him there? Does he? I mean,
but they're not making any plans for that, right? It just seems like they're just like Sam jumps in the cage, and then Sam jumps in the cage.
But is that worth it to save the entire world?
Oh, look at that trolley! This trolley's coming right at you.
It's coming right at you.
Get out of its way.
I'm just asking questions. I'm not providing answers.
Start shoving the slowers in front of it. Oh wait, we're not supposed to say that, right? That's not the answer to the trolley question.
It's not. But good try.
Okay, I tried. Anyways, I think so. Not a bummer. We're intense. Oh my god, next week is the season finale. What the fuck is going to happen? We don't know. Drama. What happens in the season finale? And with that. Cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Be a Dick production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.